A new major earthquake hit Nepal this morning. The 7.3 magnitude quake was followed by several aftershocks. Reports say at least 19 people are dead and hundreds injured.
A strong earthquake has hit northern Japan. Japan's meteorological agency says the focus of the 6.6 magnitude quake was off Miyagi Prefecture, about 50 kilometers below the Pacific Ocean.
Or in the video, police are seen forcibly removing migrants from trucks, throwing migrants over the expressway guardrail and discharging tear gas. France Human Rights Ombudsman Jacques Toubon says that he will investigate the case.
It is really a disturbing scene, and then we now know that at least 5 people have lost their lives in all this. We do think that there is something to do with this curve. We are seeing these investigators just go over this curve over and over and over again with
We start with some breaking news this morning. A new major earthquake hit Nepal this morning. The 7.3 magnitude quake was followed by several aftershocks. Reports say at least 19 people are dead and hundreds injured.
This quake caused panic in Nepal's parliament as a lawmaker was speaking. People ran for the exits. It comes less than 3 weeks after a 7.8 magnitude quake killed more than 8,000 people. Seth Doan covered the aftermath of that disaster for us. He's in Beijing tracking these latest developments. Seth, good morning.
Good morning. This earthquake struck a remote mountainous region between Kathmandu, the capital city, and Mount Everest. Even 50 miles away in the capital, eyewitnesses report people running into the streets. We just got off the phone with a local journalist who is visiting the epicenter of the April 25th earthquake today when that earth started shaking again. He describes scenes of people running out, panicking, screaming, "Earthquake, earthquake, another earthquake." He described things that were still standing, looking as though they were going to collapse, but said some regions had been hit so hard that there was simply nothing left to collapse. We visited that Sindapalchek district, the area that was so hard hit that saw the greatest loss of life during the April 25th earthquake. That was the epicenter of today's quake. And we visited these high up, remote mountainous villages where we saw so many villages where nearly every single home had been damaged or destroyed, and people were waiting even a week after the earthquake and still had not yet received any aid. That is one of the things that we kept hearing from relief groups, that this is such a difficult country to try to get aid to those in need because the infrastructure is so weak.
Still recovering from the last one. Another massive earthquake today in Nepal causes more buildings to collapse. Dozens of fresh casualties. In Kathmandu and nearby, residents felt that all too familiar wave of fear. Violent shaking, structures cracking.
I think it's a really big hit of earthquake because the gate has also slanted and every pole are moving like that they will fall again. That is the thing right now.
People scrambling to the streets, desperate to reach safety.
I'm trying to call to my home, but network is busy. It's not reachable. I'm worried for my family.
I just ran here. I was very scared at that time.
This landslide in the mountains caught on video by medical teams. Victims in remote areas near the epicenter will be particularly hard for aid workers to reach. It's just over 2 weeks since the devastating 7.8 magnitude quake that killed over 8,000 people. Relief workers say this event is a major setback for recovery efforts. One of their biggest worries? Survivors who lost their homes or don't want to risk sleeping in a building are now returning to makeshift camps or to the streets where they're exposed.
The dangers is that, well, the monsoon is coming, rains are coming, so people would have to sleep with rainy days, but also children are, they could be bitten by mosquitoes, and there are too many other allergies or things in the streets that could make the children really, really vulnerable.
Seismologist Mike Blanpede from the U.S. government's chief agency that monitors earthquakes says this event, despite its size and time separation from the first one in Nepal, is not considered its own earthquake.
The most recent one, this magnitude 7.3, occurred here. These are all aftershocks.
The 7.3 is an aftershock.
It is a very large, it is the largest aftershock of this earthquake, at least so far.
Why is it considered an aftershock and not its own quake after 2 weeks?
Well, it certainly is an earthquake. All of these are earthquakes in and of themselves, but it's an aftershock because it occurred in the area of the original main shock, and it's of a smaller size.
Meanwhile, in neighboring China, the powerful aftershock has hit southern part of Tibet Autonomous Region, causing landslides, damaging roads and killing at least one person. The victim was in a car that was hit by falling rocks in Jirong Township. Rescuers recorded multiple landslides on their way to save other passengers in a car. The road in Jirong Township that was hit by landslides has now been repaired, but the landslides cut road again connecting Jam Township. Neelam County, which had just been repaired after it was damaged by the massive earthquake last month. In Neelam, power was cut off and 3 houses collapsed. The U.S. Pacific Command has said an American Marine Corps helicopter offering quick relief in Nepal was declared missing with 8 people on board. They include 6 U.S. Marines and 2 Nepalese soldiers. The helicopter was last seen after another helicopter in the vicinity picked up some radio chatter about a fuel problem. A Pentagon spokesman said a 90-minute search by 3 U.S. military aircraft failed to locate the aircraft before nightfall, and a ground search by Nepalese troops was underway.
All right, we have more breaking news. The search for a missing Camp Pendleton helicopter with 6 Marines on board has just picked up once again in Nepal. Right now, it is just before noon in Nepal, and families here in San Diego are anxiously awaiting any news. 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco is live at Miramar. And Rachel, there were conflicting reports earlier tonight out of Nepal that the helo had actually been found.
That's right, Steve, and unfortunately, those reports were not accurate. They came out of Nepal, and ABC News has confirmed that a police chief there was actually misquoted. The military says the search for the helicopter continues, meaning it'll be a long night for the families of those on board. We're getting our first look at the search and rescue mission. 2 helicopters from Marine Light Attack Helicopter Squadron 469 took off from the airport in Kathmandu. They're looking for the 3rd Huey in their squadron. 6 Marines and 2 Nepalese soldiers are on board. 10 News has confirmed the Marines are based out of Camp Pendleton, but they had been deployed to Okinawa.
It's been a terrible tragedy for the Nepalese people, and my heart goes out to them. What we're looking forward to is using our training in a positive fashion.
That was one of the Marines talking about their mission in Nepal. The crew was delivering supplies to earthquake victims in a rugged area hit hard by the latest aftershocks. A Pentagon spokesman says reports from the field show the crew was talking about fuel problems before their radio cut out. The spokesman says there's been no smoke or other signs of a crash. And that squadron operates out of MCAS Miramar. We will continue to follow all of the latest developments on the search and have the latest for you beginning on 10 News, beginning at 4:30 a.m. Rachel Bianco, 10 News.
Hello there, welcome to Newsline. It's Wednesday, May 13th. I'm Catherine Kobayashi in Tokyo. A strong earthquake has hit northern Japan. Japan's meteorological agency says the focus of the 6.6 magnitude quake was off Miyagi Prefecture, about 50 kilometers below the Pacific Ocean. The agency has not issued a tsunami warning. Officials at the agency say the tremor was observed from the northeastern region of Japan to northern Hokkaido. So far, no major damage has been reported. The operator of the Fukushima Daiichi and Fukushima Dai-2 nuclear plants says no issues have been found. The operator of the Onagawa nuclear power plant also reports no problems. Railway officials say they temporarily halted Shinkansen bullet trains in the region in order to confirm safety. Officials at the meteorological agency say it was the first strong earthquake to hit the region since July 2011. An expert says the tremor can be considered an aftershock of the major quake in March 2011. He says that in the past 4 years, quakes measuring around magnitude 7 have been observed about once a year off northeast Japan in the Pacific Ocean. He says that aftershocks on a similar scale might come in the next week.
An amateur video released by a pro-migrant organization shows French police using violence against migrants on an expressway to the French ferry port of Calais. In the video, police are seen forcibly removing migrants from trucks, throwing migrants over the expressway guardrail and discharging tear gas. France Human Rights Ombudsman Jacques Toubon says that he will investigate the case. The scenes were filmed on May the 5th, one day after French Interior Minister Bernard Cazeneuve and Calais Mayor Natasha Burchard visited the new migrant welcome center outside Calais. And 2,500 migrants are estimated to be living in Calais.
More violent weather in Texas causes scare for plane's passengers and crew. Lightning struck a United Airlines flight from Houston to Mexico. The plane diverted to San Antonio.
4091, all I got was that you were hit by lightning and you've lost some instrumentation. Is there anything else you need to tell me?
Everybody made it off the plane safely, we're happy to say, but on the ground, many in a community outside Dallas are still picking through the rubble from a deadly weekend tornado. Vicente Arenas is in Van, Texas. Vicente, good morning.
Good morning. This is a building that was torn apart by the twister. And in the background, you can see electrical crews still trying to restore power to this community after the tornado struck here. It was a storm that killed 2 people and sent more than 40 people to the hospital. The deadly tornado damaged an estimated 100 houses here in Van, Texas, with winds of up to 140 miles per hour. This house was swept up into the air and moved 12 feet.
The house picked up from its foundation, and then it landed back again, and debris and stuff were falling on us.
On Monday, community members combed through the rubble.
I lost my wedding ring, but they found it. So the rest of it we can take care of.
In neighboring Arkansas, scraps of wood and belongings litter yards where homes once stood. Michael and Melissa Mooneyhan died protecting their 18-month-old daughter from the EF2 tornado that ripped through their mobile home park in Nashville. Back in Van, Texas, Red Cross volunteers distributed supplies at a shelter.
It's just wood, hay, and stubble. It can be replaced.
Ken and Donna Strom stood outside what's left of their house and told us it looks like a war zone.
Now, bedroom was on the back.
At what point did you know that your home had been just ripped apart like this?
When we looked up and could see the sky.
And what do you do at a moment like that?
Pray.
Yeah.
2 of the city's 5 schools were also battered. This is a cafeteria at the elementary school.
We feel very blessed. This did not happen during a school day. And that I'm not standing up here right now talking to you about any kids.
The schools here in Van are still closed. The good news is the 8 people that were missing have now been found. Jeff?
Standing right next to the tracks where normally this commuter train will be going to and from Washington, D.C., all the way to New York. This particular train was headed to New York City when it derailed. It crashed in what is known as the Port Richmond neighborhood, and just to our right, there's a lot of vehicles, emergency vehicles that are all stacked up. There's also a helicopter above that is sometimes shining a light down onto the scene. We're still seeing lots of investigators who are here. We do also know the Red Cross has set up an area for family to find out information and wait to hear information not too far from here. We also know the FBI has responded in saying that, you know, they're headed to the scene, and the initial indications are that this has nothing to do with terrorism at this point. So that is the initial indication from the FBI. We know that the National Transportation Safety Board is also sending in a team that will help investigate this to try to figure out exactly what caused this train to derail. It is a violent scene. I mean, when you look at how bad these train cars are at this point in time, and you look at some of the pictures that people were sending out on Instagram and on Twitter, it is really a disturbing scene. And then we now know that at least 5 people have lost their lives in all this. We do think that there is something to do with this curve. We are seeing these investigators just go over this curve over and over and over again with flashlights, looking at the rail line there. So we're just waiting to hear more information from the mayor, from the investigators on exactly what they think may have caused this derailment. A lot of people said that it felt like the train was going fairly normally, but then it felt like it was going pretty fast as it was going around this curve. Those are passengers on the train, and then they knew something was wrong. They could feel the train move in a wrong direction and start to derail. We also talked to some neighbors, John and Zane, who told us that they could hear it. It sounded like a bunch of carts slamming together and metal twisting and grinding. And that's what we were hearing from the neighbors who live not too far from this track here. This is a train that a lot of people take to commute, a train that is generally filled with a lot of folks going from D.C. into Philadelphia or New York and back. Right now, of course, the track is closed. Amtrak saying that service has been suspended for the time being. And if you look at this accident, it is going to take them quite some time to try and get, first of all, the wreckage off the tracks, and then try to figure out if there's any big damage, which there is, I think, to the tracks themselves, and try to sort that out as well. Basically, a devastating situation, and people have lost their lives here tonight, John and Zane.
These are people who were involved in this accident just moments ago. Here it is.
I got you, okay? Okay? Keep crawling, okay? Where am I crawling to?
Crawl forward, sir.
Keep crawling. Keep crawling.
Keep crawling. My injuries. And my neck. Got a little nectar going on right here. Come on, man.
I got you, okay? Okay? Keep crawling, okay? Where am I crawling to?
Crawl forward, sir.
So again, these pictures are coming in from social media. The video coming in, you can see they're telling people to crawl forward. People are having to crawl through cars that have been tossed on their side. One gentleman there showing the extent of his injuries on his legs, he's saying, and then he also has a neck injury. And then, if we can re-rack the soundbite from the folks just moments ago, here it is. These are people who are involved in this crash. Take a listen.
We were in the front seat, and this huge red suitcase just came flying at me. Our train was actually on its side, so it pushed me onto the side of the train. It hit my chest. I think I have a few fractured ribs. I'm a nurse. But, you know, I tried to help anybody who is, there's many injured people on the train, and they're very, very upset. My son went back and got everybody off our one car. He helped them out. There was a very small opening in the door, and we were able to get out.
And so your car actually toppled over?
Yes, we were in the last car, and it was on the side, yes.
What was going through your mind as this was happening?
That this is a nightmare, and it can't be happening.
on now, at least 46 minor gas and ash explosions accompanied by several micro-earthquakes have been recorded at the Telica volcano in northwestern Nicaragua in North America. Although no evacuation order has been issued, authorities are bracing for possible escalation in volcanic activity.
A cloud of thick black smoke hovered over the Hudson River just 25 miles from New York City when a fire broke out at a nuclear power plant in Westchester on Saturday. The incident occurred when a transformer failed to operate at the Indian Point Power Plant just 200 yards away from the facility's reactor building.
These situations we take very seriously. This is a nuclear-powered plant. It's nothing to be trifled with. We have a lot of emergency drills all the time. But it's one thing to drill, and it's another thing to see it happen and unfold in real time.
The transformer ruptured during the fire, leaking oil into the ground, and was initially caught in a holding tank, but spilled over into a Hudson River-bound drainage system after reaching capacity. How much oil has spilled into the river is still unknown, but is expected to reach thousands of gallons.
We started smelling what smells like it smells like diesel fuel. It smells like petroleum.
The facility is a 3-unit nuclear power plant station. Unit 2 and 3 are 2 of 6 operating nuclear energy sources in New York State and produces approximately 25% of the electricity for New York City and Westchester County. The fire caused an automatic shutdown and will be closed until further notice. No one was injured in the blaze, but investigation into the incident is not over.